Hello and welcome to MEELive. Join us as together we take another look at the stories shaping our world.
We are broadcasting live to YouTube and X from Middle East Eye's headquarters here in London.
I'm Mohammed Hassan.
And I'm Matilda Mallinson. Today is Tuesday, the 3rd of June.
So, big show today, two very big guests, the first of which is Greta Thunberg, Swedish activist. You may have heard of her. She is currently on board a vessel that is headed directly to the Gaza Strip with 11 other activists. They have a 6-day journey to get there, and they don't actually know whether Israel is going to allow them to arrive. We spoke to her earlier today about what it means, why they're doing this, and how worried they are for their actual safety, because people have been killed trying to cross this barrier before.
To add to our star-studded spokespeople today, I will be interviewing Basil Adra, who is the Oscar-winning filmmaker behind the documentary No Other Land, which spotlighted the destruction of Palestinian communities in Masafer Yatta, a West Bank territory.
Which is his home, right?
Which is his home, exactly. But this month has seen the largest demolition yet, and at this current moment, international journalists are being blocked from entering the region. So we will be speaking to Basil about what exactly is going on the ground and what it tells us about Israel's actions in the West Bank.
Stay tuned. So first up, we are going to take a look at today's headlines.
Israeli forces killed 27 Palestinians on Tuesday as they tried to reach an aid distribution site in Rafah, according to Gaza's health ministry. It is the latest in a series of deadly distributions by the US and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Since the organization started operating last week, Israeli forces have reportedly killed over 100 Palestinians seeking aid at their sites and wounded 490 others. After imposing a complete blockade on all aid, Israel has now limited food distribution to just a few hubs and forced Palestinians to line up in metal barricades where they are being monitored by armed personnel and drones. This has led to panic, chaos, and stampedes as Palestinians rush to secure aid and avoid being shot. Head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, has called these hubs a death trap. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation claims success, but many Palestinians say they are now terrified, torn between feeding their starving families and staying safe from Israeli attacks.
ليش تسووا فينا زي هيك؟ ليش؟ احنا بنروح نجيب لك بيت عيشنا نروح يقتلوا فينا زي هيك؟ ليش؟ مش حرام عليهم؟ حرام اللي بيسووه، مش هنرضى ياكلوا وياكلوا، ليش تسووا فينا زي هيك؟ ليش؟
Now, in one of the strangest stories of the week, earthquakes rarely come at a convenient time, least of all when you're transporting inmates between prison blocks. That is, of course, unless you are looking for a chance to escape. As earthquake tremors struck the city of Karachi in Pakistan on Monday night, prison officials temporarily moved inmates out of their cells and into a courtyard. But in the process, prisoners scratched the guards' guns and forced the prison gate open after a shootout, allowing 216 of them to escape. 78 have since been captured as police raids are being carried out around the area to round up the remaining prisoners. But the event is quite rare. Jailbreaks are not a common phenomenon in Pakistan, and this was one of the largest to have ever taken place, and in Pakistan's biggest city too. While officials stressed that there are no militants involved, many are anxious to see the remaining prisoners recaptured.
A suspect has been charged with hate crime and 16 counts of attempted murder following Sunday's attack in Colorado during a rally for Israeli captives. 45-year-old Egyptian man Mohammed Sabri Soliman is accused of attempting to set the group on fire using Molotov cocktails and flamethrowers. The attacker shouted "Free Palestine" and "End Zionists." 8 people were taken to hospital with severe burns, and one of them is in critical condition. The rally was led by an organization called Run for Their Lives, which has marched for the release of Israeli captives from Gaza every week since the start of the war. It is the latest instance of growing political violence in the US and attacks against Israelis and Palestinians by those radicalized by the war abroad. The US Attorney for the District of Colorado detailed the case against Soliman in a press conference on Monday.
Mr. Solomon stated that he had been planning this attack for a year. and he acted because he hated what he called the Zionist group. And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again. He said that he had previously tried to purchase a firearm, but resorted to the Molotov cocktails when he could not purchase a gun because he was not a legal citizen.
Stay tuned as we're joined by Swedish activist Greta Thunberg on board a vessel attempting to break the siege of Gaza.
This is MEE's Deep Dive, where we dive into a story that is shaking up the world. Now, a group of activists are attempting to break through the Gaza blockade by sea, but will they make it? 12 people aboard the MEELive, a small ship carrying humanitarian aid, aims to breach Israel's siege on Gaza in 6 days' time and to bring international attention to the ongoing starvation of Palestinians. The ship is carrying urgently needed supplies, including baby formula, flour, rice, diapers, women's sanitary products, water desalination kits, medical supplies, crutches, and children's prosthetics. It's organized as part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, an international group of activists who have been attempting to breach the 18-year siege on Gaza since 2010. There are, of course, considerable risks to the lives of these activists. In the past, Israel has attacked and even killed some of them. In 2010, a large ship called the Mavi was intercepted by Israeli commandos, who boarded the vessel using helicopters and speedboats while still in international waters. 9 activists were killed instantly. Another died later from their wounds. At the time, it caused international outrage and prompted an investigation by the International Criminal Court. But despite numerous appeals, the case was never opened by the prosecutor. Last month, on the 2nd of May, a similar vessel had to be abandoned after drone strikes targeted the ship's generator off the coast of Malta, likely an attack by Israel's government. The 30 activists on the ship, who were unharmed, had tried to limit their media communication in an attempt to prevent Israeli sabotage. This time around, however, the activists aboard the MEELive are trying a different tactic: maximum exposure, hoping to make it difficult for a similar attack to take place before they reach Gaza. On Sunday, they were farewelled in Italy by a group of supporters that included a number of high-profile celebrities, one of them Irish actor Liam Cunningham.
Hello everybody, my name is Liam, I'm from Ireland. The reason I'm here, as far as I'm concerned, the heart and soul of humanity is in Gaza. For me, this attack, this genocide, is not just on Palestinians, it is on the whole human race. Our heroes, and also the people of Gaza for the last 600 days are heroes. They are, in my mind, they will always be heroes.
On board the MEELive and currently heading for Gaza is famed Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who herself has been subject to fierce attacks online by pro-Israeli voices. I spoke with her earlier today about where she is right now and what the next couple of days will look like.
We are currently on our way towards Gaza as part of the Freedom Flotilla mission to deliver humanitarian aid in the form of food, medical supplies, and sanitary products to challenge the Israeli blockade and to continue, as the Freedom Flotilla Coalition has been doing since 2008, continue trying to send ships to break the siege on Gaza and open up a humanitarian corridor. And I'm here currently with 11 other volunteers on the boat from different parts of the world. Yeah, that's where I am.
Describe to me what the mood is like aboard the MEELive right now.
Yeah, right now, I would say spirits are very high. We are very happy to be on board and to have eliminated the first risk element, which is to get stuck in port due to the bureaucratic warfare, which has been the case other times. And the last time we attempted this a month ago, the boat that we were supposed to board just a couple of hours before was bombed twice, and all evidence strongly suggests that it was Israel who did it. So we are very happy to be on our way, and very happy to receive so much support from people all over the world.
What are you expecting? What are you preparing for over the next couple of days? Once you get to that critical moment of breaching the military blockade on Gaza, do you think you'll be let through? And if not, are there preparations for what could happen?
Yeah, we have done many risk assessments, trying to include all the possible risks that we judge to be possible. And of course, we are aiming to get to Gaza, but as many previous flotillas, there is of course a big risk of being stopped on the way there. But we are trying to get to Gaza and planning for that, but also preparing for other scenarios. Of course, we are peaceful activists and volunteers, and we do not carry weapons, and we are sailing peacefully on international waters, which is our right. So we are not doing anything wrong.
In the event that something does go wrong, in the event that there is some kind of interception, of course, all of your lives are at risk. And there's a question of why have you chosen to do this, you and the 11 others that have joined you?
Yeah, I mean, we cannot just sit by and allow this to happen. We are watching, all of us on our phones are watching a genocide happening, following decades and decades of systematic oppression, ethnic cleansing, occupation, and we are just human beings very concerned about what's happening and do not accept what is going on. So therefore we have promised ourselves and we have promised the Palestinian people to do everything we can. And if this is something that we can do, for example, for me personally, if I, for example, have a platform or something, then I have to use that. In times of injustice, we all have a responsibility to do something, and we are trying to do that and step up when our governments are failing to step up, and on the contrary, are complicit and are supporting and enabling this genocide to go on.
Gaza has been without food since early March, without medical supplies, without basic, even clean water. And we've seen this trickle that has begun now to come through under the supervision of the United States and Israel. But only just over the last couple of days, we've seen almost 100 people killed trying to reach that aid. You mentioned the international community, the governments that are complicit, as you said. Do you think the world has done enough?
Absolutely not. It is shameful that every single day the international community and the world just straight up betrayals the Palestinians. And as I said, not only are people sitting doing nothing, it's actually the opposite. Our governments, our institutions, our companies are supporting this genocide, whether it's military, financial, or socially. Are we supporting this genocide to go on? And that is absolutely unacceptable. It is our tax money, it is our media who are continuing to dehumanize Palestinians and using that as a weapon and as a way of making this genocide possible, of course. And if we cannot be neutral in the face of a genocide, as long as we don't do everything we can to prevent a genocide from happening, not only stopping it but actually preventing it, then that is just not a possibility if you have any human decency whatsoever left.
You and the others on the Medellin have already gotten quite a lot of international attention, public media attention, and also garnered quite a lot of very negative responses. We heard just over the last 2 days, a U.S. lawmaker, Lindsey Graham, single you out specifically and, tweet, "I hope that Greta and her friends can swim." When you hear things like that and when that comes across your radar, how does that make you feel?
Well, luckily I don't have access to social media here, so I don't get to see all that hate. But no, it is very absurd that in times of genocide, policymakers who are complicit in this genocide are using this opportunity and to spend their energy to try to mock people who are at least trying to do something. I think that says about everything we need to know about their priorities right now.
And there are few public figures that I think garner as much anger from specific sectors of society that you seem to, Greta. And people ask you, and I've seen a lot of people level this accusation at you. You came to the fore as a climate activist, calling for action on environmental issues. Why are you so concerned with the Palestinian cause?
Well, shouldn't the question be, why should we not be concerned? Why should we not be absolutely outraged and heartbroken every single time we think about it? I don't understand how we cannot be. And it's so weird to me that people are separating caring about the environment and the climate to caring about humans. Like, I care about the environment and the climate because I care about human and planetary well-being. Those are the same thing in my view. We are standing up for justice and for sustainability, for liberation for everyone. There can be no climate justice without social justice. We cannot pretend to care about the future of humankind and how our children will be affected in the future. For example, in the case of Sweden, we cannot pretend to care about how our white privileged children will be impacted of climate change in the future when we are ignoring the suffering of marginalized people today. That is just an extremely racist way of seeing the world.
And finally, Greta, I know that a big part of what this flotilla is about is less about sending what little aid that you can carry on a boat to Gaza, but more about sending a message to the international community. And I wonder what that message is on behalf of you and the others on the Medellin.
Yeah, that message is that everyone has a responsibility to act. When our governments are failing us at international institutions, international law, then it falls on us to step up and be the adults in the room. And no matter how the odds are against us, we have to keep trying to do everything we can, everything we have at hand. Because sitting and doing nothing cannot be an option. There is too much at stake.
Greta
and
Thunberg.
That we all need to join and support the Palestinian struggle for justice.
And I know that there's going to be people in Gaza that have read about your journey and will be waiting for you on the shores of Gaza in the next couple of days. What's your message to them?
My message to them is so much that they are the real heroes of today, that the courage they have to just simply defend themselves and be able to exist every single day in this genocide is something that no one else will ever be able to understand. And that also on behalf of the international community, the so-called Western world, I am so sorry that we have betrayed you by not supporting you enough.
Greta Thunberg, we really appreciate your time, and Godspeed. We'll be keeping a very close eye on your journey, and we hope you make it successfully and safely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
That was Swedish activist Greta Thunberg speaking to us from aboard the Medellin, currently in the Mediterranean Sea. Stay tuned now as we turn our attention to the West Bank village of Masafer Yatta, whose residents are desperately trying to shine a light on what they say is their final fight to save their hometown.
It's not easy for me to write this, but my community, Masafer Yatta, will be destroyed unless more activists and journalists don't urgently come and join us. This is a post by Bassel Adra, maker of this year's award-winning, Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land, which drew international outrage at Israel's demolitions in the illegally occupied West Bank. Welcome to MEELive Spotlight. Today we are spotlighting the destruction of Masafer Yatta, which has only intensified in the months since Adra described their horrors on the Oscars stage. The 5th of May saw the largest demolition yet, where the village of Khalat al-Daba was almost wiped out and dozens left homeless. It marked exactly 3 years since Israel's High Court passed one of the single biggest expulsion decisions since the 1967 occupation. 3,000 hectares of Masafer Yatta and 1,000 Palestinians were greenlit for eviction, following a 2-decade legal battle over the territory's designation as an Israeli military zone. Khalat al-Daba is one of the first of 12 villages to be cleared almost in entirety. It's the escalation residents have been fearing. Israel claims the region's Palestinian communities settled there illegally after its military designation. They have forced some to repay the costs of their own homes' demolitions or carry them out themselves. Meanwhile, Israelis have illegally settled in their place. Since full-scale war in Gaza broke out, settler violence and the expansion of illegal outposts have rapidly intensified in the West Bank as well, resulting in the death of at least 939 Palestinians, almost 200 of them children, according to UN data. Evidence presented to the European Parliament showed over 8,500 Palestinians have been wounded in these incidents, 9,900 imprisoned, and 46,000 displaced. Days ago, No Other Land co-director Yuval Abraham called on international journalists to come witness these events in Masafer Yatta. But as journalists assembled for the visit on Tuesday, they were blockaded by masked Israeli soldiers who Abraham said have allowed settlers to occupy the demolished Palestinian town. We are now joined by the Oscar-winning documentary maker Bassel Adra, who is from Masafer Yatta. Bassel, thank you so much for your time. Can you tell us what's happened since yesterday? Have journalists managed to access the area?
No, the area is still it's closed by military and Israeli police. They're closing it and preventing us, even as Palestinian activists, to move from our village to other villages in Masafer Yatta. Palestinian journalists, Israeli activists, international activists, and journalists are prevented to enter to the communities of Masafer Yatta.
Do we know what's going on in the town Khalat al-Daba that was demolished? Where are the displaced residents now? And have Israeli settlers moved in already?
So on May 5th, the Israeli army brought 4 bulldozers, invaded the community of Khalat al-Daba and destroyed 85% of homes, sheep shelters, water wells, solar panels, almost everything for the residents who lived there for hundreds of years, including ancient caves. So nothing left for the people to shelter in except of 4 rooms and 1 school and some ancient caves. And they start living there. On May 13, there was a brutal attack on one of the farmers. He was brutally injured in his head and his hand was broken by Israeli settlers. Israeli soldiers invade the community with the settlers, arrested 2 men from the community and forced them to pay bail in order to be released from detention. Last week, a group of settlers with the soldiers came and kicked one of the families out of their ancient cave, and settlers start to settle inside the cave, bringing over than 400 sheep, goats, camels, and they start to graze them every day in front of people's homes, in the gardens. Let their sheep and goat eat the grapes, the olive trees, the flowers, and the settlers themselves stealing people's belongings from their homes, preventing students to go to school. attacking people. It was very scary and very afraid. The day before yesterday, the army came with the police and forced us to leave from the community as a activist coming from a different village, which is very close, but the executives that were from the other community, and Israeli activists and international activists who was with us, and as well we saw the settlers leaving. But now the settlers are back there with hundreds of sheep again. And I think that maybe the army knew about the uh, journalist tour, and they want to make the area calm by closing it by military decision, preventing the journalists to go in. They also let the settler go away for a while, and after this tour was cancelled or was prevented by the military, now the settlers are coming again in the village.
Basil, can you tell us where exactly Palestinians who are living in these communities are expected by the military to go? I mean, what about people who are elderly or children or people who are disabled? And what happens if people refuse to leave?
We are refusing to leave. I mean, we are because this is our land and we don't have other land to go to, and we want to keep living on our homeland, and we try to improve our life, try to build homes and school, and to get to connected our communities to water and electricity, despite that it's being destroyed time after time by Israeli soldiers or Israeli settlers. And we try really to steadfast on our land as much as we can, facing all this brutal violence either by Israeli soldiers or Israeli settlers who we know their goal is to erase us from our communities. And this is what they are doing. They're taking more and more land and building more and more outposts and settlements. And now the new strategy is to build these illegal settlements inside the community itself and attack the people from within the community.
Now, Israel justifies these demolitions on the grounds that it is army-designated territory, Masafer Yatta. And they say that residents like yourself settled there illegally after its designation. What do you say in response to these statements, particularly as we see more and more Israeli settlements springing up in the region?
So exactly, like there is many to say about this, but for sure our community existing before the existence of the state of Israel, and there's aerial footage that can show this, and we brought this to the Israeli court, but for sure we will never gain justice through Israeli courts that they are built systematically to justify this occupation. Israel should not be listened to when it speaks about the occupied territories, because the ICJ has ruled very clear decision the whole occupation is illegally and should not exist. And second of all, this is our land. I am a Palestinian person with a Palestinian ID. I don't want to live under this foreign military control. So why these Israeli soldiers, 18-year-old soldiers coming from Tel Aviv with guns to control my life and to decide what is legal, what is not illegal for me? I am not Israeli. I don't vote for Israeli governments, but I'm controlled by this military. And all what they're saying, like the law here is weaponized against us as a Palestinians living there, because why you're controlling even our life, why you're existing on our land? You shouldn't be there with your settlements, with your army. It's our land, and we want to live there. We want to create our life there. We want to build factories. We want to plant it. We should be free to decide what we do in our land.
Your documentary, No Other Land, drew global attention to the attacks on your home communities. Do you think that this has had any impact?
As far as I see, it has impact on people on streets. But unfortunately, and this is a good thing, but unfortunately, it's heartbreaking that it does not have any effect on the situation on the ground. It's just going worse and worse with this brutal occupation. There's everyday attacks either by soldiers or settlers. There's everyday expansion of settlements, creating new outposts and destruction of our own communities as Palestinians. So I hope that the international community will do something, serious actions in order to stop this brutality and this suffering.
I'm wondering whether there's opportunity, that there's help that could come as a result of this win. I know that when he returned to Masafer Yatta after the Oscars, one of your fellow filmmakers, Hamdan Bilal, was attacked by Israeli settlers and detained by the military. This led to quite a backlash from some of the world's most famous actors after the Academy failed to acknowledge Bilal in condemning what had happened to him. This was powerful, and the Academy apologized. I'm curious whether any of these high-profile supporters have offered further help, given what's going on now.
Not yet, to be honest. We thank all the people who stand with Hamdan and who supported him. It's important, but unfortunately, the situation on the ground really very, very bad, and we're really living in so crazy situation with these settler soldiers. And the only thing really could help is international community do something serious in order to stop what's going on. Otherwise, Israel will keep receiving criticizing here and there, but it will continue because there will be no actions against it.
As you have spotlighted for us, Israel's demolition of Khalat al-Daba was their most destructive yet. Settler expansion in the West Bank is on the rise. What is Israel up to here, and is there still hope for the residents of Masafer Yatta to save their communities?
For us, it's hard to speak about hope now, but for us, we are really rejecting the idea of giving up, and we will keep fighting as long as we can, and as long as we can hold this, and we will keep fight for our land. Inshallah, we will keep be living on our land, but very hard to speak about hope without seeing change on the ground, or changing, or because the future is not promising with this silence and the complicity of the international community with what Israel is doing on the ground. So it's hard to speak about hope, but on the other hand, we are not, the giving up is not a choice for us.
Basil, thank you for speaking to us about this. I know that it's not an easy topic.
Thank you.
That was Palestinian journalist and filmmaker Basil Adra, and you can keep up to date with Israel's actions in the West Bank and Gaza on our live blog at middleeasti.net.
Very, very powerful voice, Basil Adra there. And I just wanted to make a note about, his co-director in the film, No Other Land, Yuval Ibrahim, put a call out, and he called out journalists in particular. He said, for the hundreds of the journalists that follow me, we need people here on the ground. We need a spotlight on this. We need people to not take their attention away from what is happening in Masafer Yatta. So I think that's a call out for all of us.
And an indication of just how powerful that is the fact that Israeli military appear to currently be blocking entry to journalists. I mean, that just shows how vital that transparency is, and international journalists have not been granted access to Gaza. And I think that it falls upon the industry to make sure that doesn't happen in further occupied territory.
And we thank Basil for his voice, and we thank Greta Thunberg for being our guest today as well. And before we lose you, we would absolutely love to hear your thoughts.
Please do send in your comments and questions. You can do so on the YouTube, on X, or any social media platform. Our handle is @MiddleEastEye, and you can also email MEELive@middleeasti.net.
We broadcast live right here every Tuesday and every Thursday, 5 p.m. UK, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard.
See you then.